Hello everyone, good afternoon. Welcome to our today's session on Introduction to Cloud Computing and Microsoft Azure. And thank you so much everyone for joining in. So today we have Karthik Rawat here with us for giving us a brief introduction to Azure. He is founder of OpenCo community and organizer at Azure Developer Community Raipur. And I'm Vedant Kakade. Currently, I'm a DevRel intern at Devtron Labs and organizer at Azure Developer Community Nagpur. And we are here to bring this amazing session. So, in this session, Karthike will be covering some basic concepts of cloud computing and fundamentals of Microsoft Azure. And if you have any doubts or questions, please feel free to drop them in chat box. We will try to answer them later in this session. So, let's get started with our session. The stage is yours, Karthik.
Yeah, thanks, Vedant. And yeah, they are pretty much cold from my end. Sorry for the voice, folks. Let me. I think so. My PPT is already shared, so get them on the screen, I guess.
Yep.
Cool. So yeah. So as I am also Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador, I gave a talk over there on the cloud tour. So we will do the same on this one. So yeah, let's get started with the cloud computing. And yeah, so I'm just giving a small intro, basically what actually cloud computing is. So when we say computing services over the internet, which is otherwise known as cloud, basically the main logic behind the cloud is name on that end, where you can access the resources, or you can say it can be hardware resources, operating system resources, anything. So basically when we say the services include, like, basically these servers, basically it's virtual, you can access it without buying anything physically. The main thing is behind that only. And these services include server, storage, databases, networking, software analysis or analytics of particular that resources, you can say, and intelligence. And cloud computing offers faster innovation and flexible resources. It is very well economical, because if I'm comparing cloud with other thing, like taking example, I just take 2 TB of virtual space of what you can say VM instance. I creating a VM instance in terms of 2 TB, which is very economical as compared to if I'm buying a 2 TB HDD physically to go to the store or go to the online shop and just order that stuff. Cool. And cloud computing is simply a largely distributed computing architecture, or you can say infrastructure, that a user can access over internet. You doesn't need anything regarding to tap in anything more on. So let's go to the evaluation of cloud computing. So in initial, when the coin or the IDA team come into around coin, you can say 1950s to 1966, where they're working on how the basically the Herb Grosh suggested the idea to having a 15 large data centers should sufficient the computing needs of the world. When we say 15, why it's specific? Because it's set up on the every location in the every region of it. And when we say in the 1916, John McCrae and proposed the idea of computing being converted as a public utility. And why it is happening? So because everything is going on when we say metaverse or web3 space, but before that all the things are going on the cloud server. All things are virtually available to everyone. You need to buy anything. Everything is physically available, like virtually available to you as a resource. Now in 1969 too, like, I'm not going to the, you can say, valuation of the whole stuff, but the main things came into play in the recent years. You can say Microsoft Azure, AWS, and Google Cloud Platform is the, you can say the epitome of cloud computing, you can say, because these are the one who support the services around the globe. Yep. And let's do to the next one. Sorry for that, folks, because I'm a be pretty much cuff. So yeah. So enabling technologies. Cloud computing has a various enabling technology which include networking, virtualization, resource management, utility computing, programming models, parallel distributed computing, and storage devices. We will just in touch with everything, but main thing is virtualization, because when we say virtualization, it's the main basic concept behind the virtualization is in order to give the all the physical thing in a virtual form. That's the part. Sorry, part behind it. And let's jump to the next one. So when we say cloud computing advantages, again, high availability, it is available to everyone. Scalable, vertical, horizontal, again, it can be scalable in form of every aspect. It's not only like, if suppose I'm taking an example, if you're deploying any model or any web app to your maybe Microsoft Azure account, what you are doing, you are scaling that thing with vertical and horizontal, in again in a form of different genre. It's not only specifically talking about the business end, but in a normal project and open source end also. Again, elasticity, agility, geo distribution. As when we say geo distribution, it's morely focuses on geo distribution. And when we say geo distribution, what is actually mean is that, suppose I am in India and I have to use the data center or the resource of US, suppose. So again, it's easy, you can access the geo distribution resource also. Disaster recovery, when I say disaster recovery, is why I'm saying, because when we say there's a lot of data is going on, we are working on the data, and whole the data center is working on that, and there's chances of heating and there's a chance of disaster, basically for the, you can say, fire due to the heating. So again, it also reduces the disaster recovery part also, because as you know, if you know about Microsoft, the whole data center are in the under the ocean, that they recently just done around the America region, or you can say USA region, you can say, uh, and North America region specifically, and they are try also working for the India and the Asia region too, and Europe region too. Cool. Now, building blocks of the cloud, basic. They have a basic infrastructure setup, resource sharing, what type of resource you are having, development platform, and application software. When we present for building block in cloud computing, they have totally, because when we say infrastructure, it includes the physical resources in a data center. Cool. Now, when we say cloud computing services, so in a broader sense, cloud services differ based on the need of the different user. The section reviewed three popular types, that is software as a service, product as a service, which includes a development platform, and infrastructure as a service, which include resource sharing and infrastructure include both. Now, when I say application software, it focuses mainly on how the whole software, like how you can use software as a service. Like you don't need to buy that particular product. You have to just use a services of, you can, in terms of API, or directly go to that particular website. So all the things are on the web or in the cloud. You don't need to install anything basically. Cool. So cloud computing service is the big picture. When we say SaaS, which includes hosted application apps, to development tools, to operating system, to server storage, to networking, firewall security, and at the end, but not the last, data center and physical plant or building. Platform as a service is focusing more majorly on development tools, which when we say platform as a service, basically for the developers and developer tools. And when we say infrastructure, it totally works on the, you can say, the core hardware part of it. It is server and storage, network, firewall security, and data center basically. Cool. So let's dive into the software as a service. Is a software delivery model in which basically software associated data are hosted on the cloud. Now, SaaS application typically are accessed by the user using a thin client via web browser. Cloud browser delivers software as an internet service, and SaaS users simply use their browser to access the internet, or the, you can say, the software that they're using. And when the web browser loads the SaaS application service, so it dynamically starts and transparently work. There's not like a breakage, or you can say broke on that end. So let's do some talk about the characteristics. You can access to the software service is a web-based. Software is managed from a central location by the cloud provider. Software is delivered in a one-to-many model, in which one is the cloud provider and many is the cloud user, basically. That is the customer, you can say. The cloud provider handles the software upgrades and patches. That is the main thing when we say in developer tools end. So I'm not going for the use cases, because it's like when we say it's more on the customer side, it's used on the data customization and hosting kind of stuff. Cool. Just for the example, I'm just giving, if you know Outlook, Yahoo Mail, Gmail, these are the example where where SaaS is like SaaS based examples, you can say. Cool. Platform as a service. So platform as a service is again a computing platform that allows for the creation of the web application in a simplified manner, without complexity of purchasing and maintaining any of the underlying software infrastructure. So when I'm saying platform as a service, it means sometimes it can be possible uh, when we are focusing on the, like when we focusing on the platform as a service. So the main focus area or region is more and around how you are deploying that whole stuff, right? So first of all, you have to develop that particular application, deploy it, and scale the application on the platform that are offered by the cloud provider. Again, PaaS is analogy to SaaS. Why I'm saying, because when we say services, because SaaS is totally include the PaaS. It's kind of a subset of SaaS, you can say, when we're talking about PaaS, because it's also included developer tools plus the main web application kind of thing. So that's a great thing about platform as a service. Talking about characteristics, again, it's more on the working on the IDE, that is integrated development environment. You can use like taking example, NetBeans is one of the IDE, Atom is one of the IDE, and that also supports in the, you can say, Azure also. If you know, recently code spaces kind of from the GitHub is came into play, which is also a IDE like VS Code, which is available on web browser. So that's totally amazing. Web browser, again, it's focusing on the web browser user interface. So it's you can say, when you're talking about low code development basically, so here the web user interface came into play and you can use it. Third one is multi-linear architecture, in which the multiple coherent user can see the same development tool without using extra resources. So that's a pretty much great in terms of economic end. You didn't have to create the resources again and again and again. So use cases, when we're talking about, again, rapid application development scenario, if you are a startup and your versions of your product or release is very frequent, and you are dropping your you can say versions very frequently, like in a 2 week 3 week. So PaaS, basically platform as a service, helps over there, because it's again from the DevOps, and you didn't have to set up a site reliability engineer over there. Again, all the things are done by the Azure developer, basically Azure, those who are maintaining cloud server basically. So yeah. So when we say PaaS is not flavored, so favored when we needs to and a high portable in terms of where it is hosted, because PaaS APIs can vary from one PaaS provider to another. Now, proprietary languages or APIs could impact the development process and could trouble in the future due to vendor lock-in. And when we say vendor lock-in, is just like it's like when we're talking about in the business aspect, because when we vending our services to the other people in the maybe industry, so that can be also possible due to some vendor locks in, because it can be blockage from the vendors also. That can also not preferable for as a platform as a service end. Cool. Now, when we say examples of PaaS like Azure Functions, Force.com, Google App Engine, these are the great examples of platform as a service, and you can check that out. Cool. Infrastructure as a service is a cloud computing model in which cloud provider make computing resources available to clients, usually in form of instances. Because here what you are doing here, you're creating instances in virtual machines. That is, it can be operating system, Mac OS. You're creating for HDD like 2 TB. You are basically creating a virtual space in form of physical form. Sorry, you're creating physical wave in form of virtual form. That's the main thing behind it. And cloud providers rent out compute resource in form of instance of virtual machine. So you are, again, what I'm saying again in the first slide is like that you didn't able to buy or order any hard disk. Like I'm taking example, 2 TB hard disk is very you can say cheaper when we borrowing that thing in a resource form, in a virtual form. But when we doing in the same physical form, it's much higher in you can say in that end. Cool. When we say characteristic, again, it's a provider service, computer service, but it's more on focusing on the creating the resources and the hardware basically in a form of virtual and the same physical resources shared among the multiple users. So I'm not going for the use cases here. I'm just like directly go to the examples. So again, Azure VMs is an example. AWS again is an example. Google Cloud Compute Engine, VMware. These are the example of infrastructure as a service. Now, when we say serverless, now let's talk about some serverless computing. So overlapping with PaaS, it's like a kind of that only, because when serverless computing enables developer to build application faster by eliminating need to in because here you didn't need to manage the infrastructure. Cool. Because when we say there is a maybe crashing of the website is going on because lot of traffic is over there on the internet or on the particular website. So here serverless came into play. You didn't have to connect with the server. That's a very weird thing, right? But with the serverless application, the cloud service provider automatically provisions, scale, and manages the infrastructure required to run a code. Serverless architecture, when we say it's pretty much high scalable and event driven, this is associated only when a specific function or trigger occurs. Unless and until it will not show anything regarding that. Cool. And understanding the definition of serverless, it's important to know that servers are still running in the code, but they are not able to, like, they are not running in the backend stuff. You can say when we are calling a function, maybe in that particular website, that like you write a JavaScript file and you are just call many functions. So it can also possible till then there is no trigger of that particular function. The whole function or the whole, you can say, the services is till then will be blocked, and after that it will be relocated to the particular, say, after triggering of that particular function. So which actually allows the organization to better optimize the resource and stay focused on the innovation that is focusing on the business side. Cool. Let's talk about types of cloud. So there are very three well development cloud models. Public cloud, which is available to everyone, like anyone can access to it. Private data is only available to the private organization, kind of thing. And when we say hybrid, it involves the environment combines of the public cloud and private cloud by allowing data and application to be shared between them. Cool. So these are the type of cloud that you are seeing here in the physical machine. Let me go to the, you can see the data, that will be better. Cool. Yeah. So at the, when we say hybrid, so it again, when we see this part, this majorly part is focusing on how the hybrid data is covered. When we say this is basically, you can say, public cloud, and this is involves a whole public plus private cloud. So that's the basic example, and how there is a lower administration in the public cloud, there the higher administration in the private cloud. That's the main process out of it. Cool. So again, public cloud is access to everyone, like intranet, Firebase, and you just have connected with the internet, like that is wireless internet. You can say IPv4 and IPv6 protocol, you can say. And when we say private, it's only to the particular organization, and apart from that organization, no one can able to access that thing. So I'm just taking an example. If you are working in Microsoft, you get the, you can see, email ID at the rate of microsoft.com as your email ID. So basically that email ID just for those people who are between this organization, nobody will able to access the data apart from that. Cool. Hybrid is same concept of behind the car. You can say it here when we say the more possibility or more probabilities focuses on what number of people that you are sharing the data. It can be possible you are sharing some data outside the organization, that can also be, but it's on to you. So many people didn't prefer a hybrid cloud due to thing, but maybe hybrid cloud is very much focused for the open source developments. Many people use hybrid cloud due to the open source developments also. Yep. So major cloud provider like Microsoft Azure, like we will go through. I'm not going through the very each and every service, but I just show you the whole process behind it, how you work. Networking, PaaS product like Azure Virtual Network. OpenStack is also a great thing. You can check it out. Like similar service to the public cloud counterparts. OpenStack's compute system called Nova, and object services that called Swift and Cinder you can use over there. So it's a great space again. You can check it that out. Now, cloud use cases, web and mobile application, again, great, which is SaaS based, PaaS based, IaaS based, and it literally in everywhere, you can say. Big data analytics is also there in the cloud. On demand high performance computing, where those who didn't know about this one, basically it's used for the parallel computing, parallel processing computing, PPC, and basically the high performance computing is over there and on demand when you need to process the whole data in a very regular fashion. Cool. Online storage and archival, and if you want to give online storage in a virtual form, you can give web-based object storage, backup recovery, media streaming and content distribution, personal storage, and last but not the least, rapid development and testing. In summary, what I'm trying to state it here, the idea of utility of computing originated in the 1950s and 1960s, but the enabling technology evolved decades later and it finally matured to state in which cloud computing is a viable option for the organization to invest in. So these are the technologies or the services that you can use. And yeah, that's main the whole focus on like application software development platform, resource sharing infrastructure are the four building blocks of any cloud computing platform, you can say. And that's behind the whole summary behind it. Now let's go to some the fundamentals of Azure, you can say, at the main behind block of it. So yeah, Azure provides a wealthy of cloud-based services like remote storage, database hosting, centralized account management, AI, and Internet of Things. Be ready for like that's basically Azure offers. Like they have a slogan, you can say, be ready for the future, build on your terms, operate hybrid seamlessly, trust your cloud. and that's it. So how does Azure works basically? So there's a concept called hypervisors came into play over there, where you're connected with the hardware which is located in the data center of the Microsoft Azure, and it is connected to your local system via this platform. And it is basically hold the machine and the game engines work over there like that. It can be Windows, it can be Linux, it can be Mac, anything else. Cool. So orchestration came into play a very crucial role here, because Azure portal is totally work on the orchestrator, and where you can get all the resources using that orchestration. So what can I do with Azure? Azure provides more than 100 services like VMs and other software paradigms, such as intelligent bots and mixed reality. You can use virtual machine to run an application, AI and machine learning analytics and services. Yep, that's it. And so let's go to the main portal. So like I'm sharing that thing, but just give me a moment. Cool. Cool. When we say, yeah. So if you want to explore Microsoft Azure place, also you can go there, and I will share the screen in a moment. Just give me a moment, folks. Cool. So basically, these are the tour of the Azure service, like computing. You can compute, networking, storage, mobile, database, web, Internet of Things, big data, AI, and DevOps. That's the main focus area behind it. And just you have to getting started. You guys your account, subscription, resource group, and you can start creating resources. And let's go to the, I will share the slide again, so just give me a moment. Let me share the whole entire screen. That will be better, I guess. Let's see. I shared the screen, by the way. Waiting for the admin, I think so, to add on the. And sorry for my voice, bro folks. A little bit cold, you can say. Cool, great. So let's jump right to the Azure portal. Basically, cool. So yeah, let's what we can do here. So you just need to go to the all services. Hmm. Cool, great. Now here again, if you want to just first of all, in order to use anything, you have to create the resource group over there. So just go to the resource group. Otherwise, let if I going for the compute kind of thing, cool. Compute, and like if you want to create taking example, like suppose like virtual machines, let's see. Cool. So what you have to do here, basically you have to create sorry, a virtual machine. Mm, just my internet, or just give me, yeah, cool, it's all loading, yeah. Cool. So what you have to do again, I have a subscription. So I'm using that. If you want to create, like I have a like older one, so I can use that again. Otherwise I can use this one, resource good, that what I created. Virtual machine name, like Azure 101, I can say. I just write in that form. And yes, SSH, and okay, cool. So next. Cool. So here, well, you have, if you want, you can check the disk, what type of disk it is. If you want premium LSD, you can just go to the and just standard out that thing what you have to choose over there. Let's go to the next one. Let's see the networking part basically. Cool. In the networking part, if you want, again, I have a basically it's already created IP, but if you want, you can also create it, and this is also default one you can use. Again, we will do in at the end, and again, you can for the testing basically or nothing else. Cool, because it's as it basically prefers authentication kind of thing. So yeah, waiting for that, and yeah, I think so. Everything is fine. Not advanced. Let's review and create, because it's tag and advanced kind of thing. It doesn't matter, I guess. So it's loading. Hmm. 9.5 rupees per hour. Is my internet is slow or what? Okay, great validation pass and cool. Let's create this. Cool. So what we are doing here now, I think so. I just set up that thing on the main. I think the dashboard. Let's see dashboard, and yeah. So this is the basic funda that we are creating over like funda. Basically, what I'm saying, where I'm creating a basically a resource group over here, and that what I used here. I think like if we go to this one, it's just like a normal basic thing. If you don't know, this is the main thing that we created on the that like this is the directly drop down. There's no resource group because directly the reason is that I used here directly resource group. I'm not able to use any DevOps kind of services over there, and we are again not going for that. This is not for that session, but if you want, I can show you some pretty much good stuff. Just give me a moment. Cool. Mm, like if you go for the AI and machine learning, so let's do that. So, like cognitive services is the like really much and that kind of thing that you can use. So yeah, again, if you want to like work with some of this Q&A maker, you can use Q&A maker directly. If you want, you can use by viewing. Let's see. Cool. So nothing you have to create. Just create. Again, resource group is already there, so you have to just create a Q&A maker on that end, and you can easily do that. Basic again, same thing. What are the resource thing you have to give, and like let me give this name will be Q&A maker. Cool. Pricing tier free one. Okay. Q&A maker 1, 2, 3. It's checking, so it's already there. Let me do random number. Let's see. Cool. It's there. Great. Let's check the free one. Cool. Enables. Cool. So key. Um, let's do one for okay, just one, two for two. Sorry, two for two, three for three, four for four. Just doing a very basic one, 5 for 5. Let's review and create it. So let's create this. It's validating. Deployment is going on. Let's see. Cool. So let's see the. So again, deployment is in the progress. You didn't need to do anything. So let's see. Waiting for that. Cool. Resource group is create one. Create like it's okay. Created. Cool. Let me close this one. Let's see. It takes time. Till then, it's creating. So there is also called Microsoft Azure Marketplace, and where you can search about basically. If you want, let me share the link with you all, so that you can. Let me go to the private one and cool. Yeah, so here you can explore the resources, different kind of resources or from the Azure Marketplace, even if you didn't know and knowledge about it anything. So you can just see and you can use these services on the Microsoft Azure platform. Like Elastic one is pretty much you can say pretty much like famous. You can say Elastic environment, so you can check that. And this is the same thing, and you can go on and yeah, I think the deployment is completed. So let's go to the resources. Cool. Let me see. Is this that thing? Same stuff. Again, I think so. It's deployed or not. Okay, okay, okay. Okay, so there is another end of. So I'm not going over there because it takes a lot of time over there. So I'm just giving you an example how you can use it, and this is the main basic team behind it. And yeah, that's the main thing. uh, I done with my session, and if you want to connect with me, you can. So this is the email ID that you can, and otherwise, all things are I discovered and created. So yeah, am I audible, Vedant?
Yes, you are.
Great.
So, yeah, it was really a great session. You have covered everything right from the basics, like what is cloud, and then types of cloud, and then we started with the introduction to Azure and its services, what are the various features, and hands-on lab for creating virtual machine and Q&A maker. So I really enjoyed this session, even though I was uh, knowing those concepts, but it was really great, and so many awesome folks joined us in the chat. So thanks for joining, Sonal, Khalid, Atulya, Vinayak. Yeah. So see you in the next one. Bye bye,
Thank you,
everyone.
folks. Thank you, folks. Thanks for joining.